Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of English 102 Online. So this week we're going to talk about writing research questions for the ethnography topics that you've hopefully sort of started narrowing down into. And then we're also going to work on an assignment called a proposal, which is essentially a plan for your research project moving forward. So let's go ahead and get started. The assignments for this week hopefully are pretty straightforward. You do have a research reflection this week due Thursday. It's going to be one every week on Thursday, and then make sure that you respond to classmates by Sunday. I do also want to encourage you all to come back to the reflection space and respond to people who are responding to you, because I want this to actually develop into kind of a conversation. So I often try to respond with a question or something else to think about. So be sure that you're responding to me and to your other classmates. And then the proposal that I mentioned we'll go over in this video is due on Monday. So the description of the ethnography project was on Blackboard in our week 1 folder. I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. So by now, hopefully from the readings last week and the video that we watched and just thinking about your own topics, you've got the idea that ethnographies focus on something that you can see, that you can observe, and also includes aspects of primary research, which means an interview, typically interviews, but I'm also going to allow surveys, and then scholarly research, which means like the sort of typical secondary sources using databases like we worked on in week 1. So by now, hopefully you've thought of a couple cultures that you might look at for your project or a couple topics. And today we're going to talk about how you kind of start narrowing down into what you're actually going to focus on. So the second page of the project description describes sort of the pieces of our project. So we are on that second piece, the proposal, which is actually going to be kind of like a plan for how you're going to complete your project. So what the proposal is essentially 2 to 3 pages that includes the background to your topic and why you're wanting to focus on it. That's the background and rationale. That includes some research questions. Essentially, what questions do you have right now about the topic that you've chosen that you're hoping you can answer with your research? The methodology is just a fancy word for how are you going to do it? What databases do you think will be good for you? What kind of sources do you want to find? Who might you interview or survey? And then challenges. What do you think is going to be difficult for you in this process? Ooh, sorry about that. Lots of emails. What do you think is going to be difficult for you? And then finally, any references, any sources that you found so far. So our reflection for this week is going to be asking for pieces of this. I'm going to ask you guys to give me a couple questions that you're thinking, and we'll kind of workshop those in our reflection space. But the end of the week, you're going to have this assignment to turn in. And essentially, your proposal is going to be part of the final essay that we write. So think of this as just the start to your essay, but we'll get to that later. So it will come in handy later, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I do have a video here that kind of goes over what an ethnography is, but I think I'll post this on Blackboard and you guys can watch it on your own. I don't want to make my video too long. But when you're thinking about topics, and there were a lot of really good ones in our reflection space last week, so if you're kind of like, I really don't have any idea, go back to that reflection area and see what other people have said. But you want to think of communities that you're a part of and something that connects to your own experience, something you can observe, and then also something that you feel you have access to other people to do the primary research piece. So do you know someone that you could talk to as an interview, or do you know an online community maybe that you could post a survey to? So don't worry about those just yet. We will get to it. But for now, I just want you to kind of work on narrowing down what is it that I want to focus on. Once you've done that, what you want to do is kind of think about how you can make your topic more specific. So for me, I am a dog owner. I own Pitty that you guys met in week 1. So say the community I'm interested in is dog owners. I can make that more specific by thinking about good and bad dog owners, people who own pit bulls, people who have an Instagram account for their dog, which I do, and then other examples, like I used to live in Japan, so say the group of like a foreigner or someone who's foreign to Japan, the idea, though, of a foreigner is quite big. I mean, does that mean someone from a different country? Does it mean someone from a different city? So you can make these more specific by adding a few more categories to it. So if you're thinking of focusing on college students, can you make that more specific by saying college students who are undecided, college students at a community college? Can you kind of make that a little more narrow? So after you've narrowed your topic, I want you to start thinking about adding research questions. This is something that your readings talks about, the idea that your research does not start with an answer, because otherwise, why would we do research? Your research needs to start with a question. There needs to be something that you want to find out. And if you already know the answer and you're just trying to look for information to support the answer you already know, that's not really doing research. What research is it starts with a process of discovery, this idea that you don't know yet and you are trying to find out. So you want to keep your questions kind of open and also make sure that they give you a bit of a direction to go in. So this slide here has kind of some steps you can follow. We talked already about choosing a research topic, something you're interested in, specifically an ethnographic topic, and then maybe conduct some what we call exploratory research. Google it, see what's out there, see who's talking, and this is something we'll do for our reflection as well. And then begin formulating questions about your topic. So the idea is that you want to kind of see what's already been said, and then ask yourself, okay, what is something that's missing? So let's look at some examples. I did post an example proposal from a student that looked at the culture of plant ladies, which really fit this student because she was super into plants, talked about them all the time in class, and she wrote out these research questions here. So let's talk about which of these would make good questions. Do plants help relieve stress? Do you like owning plants? Why is it that plants can be so beneficial to people's well-being? And finally, why are plants so addicting? So take a second, ask yourself, what of these questions is the best choice? If you thought the third or fourth, ding, 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 you are correct, but let's talk about why. The first question is a yes or no question. I can put that into Google and Google will tell me back, yes, plants help relieve stress. Well, there, my research is over. But the third question and the first one are kind of related, right? This third one is talking about why plants might help relieve stress. So I think this third one is a better question. Then think about the second question. Do you like owning plants? This is actually something you would ask in an interview, right? This is something you know, who's the you here? That is not a research question because one, it's yes or no, but two, it's personal to whoever you're talking to. When you think about a research question, you want something that's overall kind of an umbrella question for your whole project, okay? So these third and fourth here are actually probably stronger than the others. What I would recommend is coming up with a big list and then sort of getting rid of what you feel like won't work, okay? You probably want to end up with, I'd say 2 to 3 questions is a great start. And in our reflection space, I'll help you with them. We'll work with it, you know, and these can change, okay? So don't feel like just because what you wrote this week isn't gonna work later, you can always change it. All right, so once you've gotten your questions, ask yourself, are they clear, are they focused, and are they complex? So often students will write questions that don't require research, i.e. they don't really encourage that discovery process. So once you turn in your proposal this week, you give me your questions, what I'll do is give you some feedback. I'm like, okay, I think this question might be good, or this one we can adjust the wording just a little bit. So we'll work on these and revise them as we go. The other thing I wanted to mention is that your assignment this week does need to be completed in APA format. So the biggest thing here is that APA involves a cover page. I've got an example here. It has centered the information on the assignment, has page numbers top right, and then top left is what we call a running header. So the example that I posted does have the formatting that you need, but the biggest thing I'm looking for is a cover page, and then the sections that I mentioned should be in bold, centered in your paper. It looks different than MLA or something you've probably done before, but I find for research, it gives it a bit of a formality, and I think it's good for you guys to know both. All right, we're gonna talk more about APA next week, specifically in-text citations, making references. For now though, if you have sources to add to your proposal, just make sure that you do them in APA format. And there are videos and resources on Blackboard under our APA format and research help tab, okay? And then also your readings this week focus here. But I understand it's new to a lot of us. I don't expect it to be perfect. I just expect you to give it a try, okay? So good luck with the proposals. I'm excited to see what you guys settle on, and I will talk to you soon.